All right. There we go. For some reason, it was not showing. Okay, so what is going? Adobe Bridge. What the hell? Okay, so um, so today I'm gonna recreate this Coke versus Pepsi sort of ad that I kind of made up on my own. So I kind of want to actually recreate this without the brown paint. So originally my intention was to be a little more abstract and kind of make, I guess, make fun a little bit of advertisement just to have kind of be a little more playful, kind of get people talking about it. It's just to kind of a trial. But so now I want to actually make the polished up version, the non abstract version. So something that something that I guess advertisers would want to see. So what I'm going to do is just pretty much do a new copy. We're just going to take away the brown liquid that's coming off of this. So it's all going to be your typical Pepsi or Coke ad. And then we'll see how it goes. So pretty much we're just going to go through the same steps as I did. I didn't show you guys this, but going to go through the same steps of how this was created minus the brown paint. So let's get into it. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Let's get back to my main folder where I have all of the shots. So these are all raw shots. And if you know anything about Bridge, you notice that there's some edits done to this. I actually went through those and zeroed out everything. So you don't have to worry about that because we're going to go through raw and how I got to where so the raw edits, I'm going to go through the raw edits too. I've already done my selection, so I have highlighted these green, and then for Pepsi I did red. So these are gonna, I think we're gonna use 3 shots because we're not gonna worry about the paint. So I'm gonna click on, select the green ones. So I want my color balance, and I want a clean bottle or can. And then I want the can with the water droplets. So these are 2 different cans, by the way, because the paint that I was using was not flowing correctly with the glycerin mix that I have. So I had to shoot a clean can with the paint and then post add in those water droplets. So that's why we have 2 different cans. But I brought them together in on set and align them perfectly, so they should work out pretty well. So let's get into it. So I've have these selected. I'm just gonna go into raw. Open up raw, and off the bat, I am going to select my white balance, and then I'm going to select the gray. And it looks, and I did this on set. I already did a color correction. I always do another pass just in case. So I do a shot of the color checker, and then fix it. I color balance it and capture one as I'm shooting. But you know, sometimes the lighting it changes. The between two different shots, the strobe could be a little off. So I always like to balance it a little bit more. So I'm going to select that and apply it. So now they're all selected and they're synced up. I'm trying to remember what I did. Okay, I think I did just a bit of exposure. I think I was just a tiny bit underexposed. I think I wanted to pop the highlights. So actually, let's go to the can. Let's look at the can right here. And I should probably sync it to these. So I'm going to sync that. Boom, boom. Okay, I think highlights, I have the little notes here. So I think I punched the highlights. And this was mostly to do with that background. But now that I look at it, I might do that because this is pretty blown out, right? That highlight. So I might actually keep that pretty low, and in post, well, in Photoshop, bring out that background to how I wanted it. So we might be doing that a little bit different because I want to keep that the texture here just a little bit. I know the highlight is somewhat blown out here, but we still can see a little bit of that the line from the text. So we're gonna keep that. I think I brought my shadow down or up. Sorry, 8. Have it selected. Okay. Oh, I have white set to -68. I have a little cheat sheet here, so just going off of that right now. 68. Type that in. Well, minus. There we go. So that actually, I might have done that because of the highlight issue. Does make it punch a lot more. You know what? I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to reopen it and deal with that highlight and bring it in. I do think it adds quite a bit to the right side of the can. I think, yeah, it just makes it pop right here just a little bit more. What's up? Let's see. Okay, so blacks, I want it to be -26. And if I remember correctly, if I hit down Alt and then hit my blacks, start getting the, I think I just started peaking, maybe not. Oh, what's up, Cody? Need some Photoshop tips? Of course, you came to the right place. So 26, I set that to 29. Texture, 10. We're gonna go to 10. Clarity, 10 as well. I always do that with product photography. I always do the texture at 10, clarity 9 to 12, depending on the shot. Just adds a little bit more than the camera provides. Don't want to go too much, otherwise it looks way too fake. Vibrancy and saturation, not going to touch. We'll deal with that if we need to in Photoshop itself. But when it comes to product photography, I always either bump up saturation or the saturation by like 7, but no more than that. I feel like if you go too much, then you're not really, you're altering the look of the product, and companies do not like that. Okay, so we go through both of these. We do see a little bit of a shift. And I'm trying to remember if I actually shifted that myself or... Trying to do 2 to 5 minute Photoshop challenges for fun. That's cool. Mine usually tend to go a lot further than that, just because a lot of detail stuff. But no, I really enjoy streaming Photoshop and the process of it. Okay, so back to this. I think that's not going to be a problem because I'm going to take the shapes anyways. That these are the brown liquid's not going to be there. I think this will still work. So I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to bring these into Photoshop as a smart object. So I'm hitting Shift and open those as a smart object. So if I need to change the raw, I can really edit, like easily do that. Thank you. Yeah. So just to, because I said this at the very beginning. So the original one I had the black paint flowing all over the cans, and right now I'm trying to make one without it, so that way I have 2 versions of a Pepsi and a Coke can, one with more abstract paint on it, and then one where it's more classic. Exact same shots. It was in the same same shoot, and you can see right here, like I have a different versions. So I'm taking clean ones and then making like something you can use as an ad. Okay, so I'm Photoshop open the wrong window, so here we go. Okay, so I got both of them open. And I'm going to take the clean one. This one's going to be my base one. So I'll take this one. I'm going to select all. Copy, merge. Bring it on over here. I'm going to line it up. So I'm going to select layer 1. Well, we'll rename this. Drops. And red. Oh, I could talk all day about my process. Up my graphic thing for video. Yeah, graphics for video can be its own monster. I would suggest looking into After Effects. So right now I'm lining up both images. And I'm not worried about the perfection of it, because really what I'm trying to do is just add in these droplets. I'm just trying to line up the logo mostly. That looks, let's see. Okay, so that defect right there is actually part of the can. Okay, so I'm gonna mask this off. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to actually just turn this off. And right now, I am just going to focus. So I know that top layer, the cans, it's there. So I'm going to focus on cleaning up this image. So I'm going to make a new layer underneath the original layer. That's why I'm here. And then I'm going to clean up this block, and then I'm going to get rid of these lines. I'm going to try to clean up these lines and make it more solid looking. These are 3D printed, so we have some artifacting from the imperfection of 3D printing. It's always fun to deal with. See if I can make that. Boom, fake it, yeah. So I'm just using spot healing brush and I'm just kind of faking it. See if I can level that out. Nope, I might have to use the pen tool, which I will. Most likely I'm going to use the pen tool to mask off the object itself, because I kind of want to get rid of this foreground, like that look of the foreground. I kind of want this whole thing to be kind of suspended in space a little bit. So, but I also want to keep the shadow. So we'll get to it when we get to it. But right now I'm just going to start cleaning up. Focus on the cleanup job. Try to square off this, and I'll square it off once we get to pen tool. Boom. So I'm not going to worry about that cross right there. Again, I'm going to cut it out. Just trying to get rid of some of the major highlights and shadows, kind of blend it in a little bit more. Maybe using spot healing brush would be a little bit better. Let's see. And we're zoomed in here, so it's not the... We're going to see all the little imperfections. Oh no, I think the thing I last said was try out After Effects for graphics, for video graphics. So usually I'll do a pass of cleaning up the rough stuff. And then once I get my composite together, I tend to go back and clean up again. So having 2 passes of cleanup job, because it makes it makes the composite a little more believable. Done a little bit of After Effects for video production in my cool. Yeah, it gets pretty intense sometimes. It's very powerful tool, but it's also like very different from how Photoshop and Premiere work. I don't like that. Let's see. Let's try spot healing brush. Try to correct that area. Nah. Might come back to that. Or, let's give this a try. Let's give a bigger brush. See how this corrects. Maybe I don't even want this highlight. Let's try to get rid of this highlight. Fake it. See if it will, it's not too bad. And if I really want to, because this is on a separate layer, I can just pen tool that highlight back in there. Let's get rid of all the extra detail that's not necessary. Really hate that magenta highlight. Like, I don't know why it's there. It's probably the raw edit, but let's try to get rid of this, make that red. It's looking a little funky. Pull my brush. Try to get rid of some of this like dark area that's inconsistent with what it should be. Okay, so I'll probably, in the second pass, we'll go and clean up the edges a little bit more. We're just kind of getting a rough idea of like how this is all gonna look. And then get rid of some of these 3D printed lines, hiding the crimes. I wonder why. That's it's a weird thing to to have a thing against. I haven't thought about Gumby in forever. All right, let's get some of this texture. I really should have taken a shot. I think I have. But that highlight wasn't there. No, I did that with the Pepsi one. But I did not do it with the Coke. So, a note for the next shoot. Watch out for the highlights. So I'm just gonna have to, I might have to do something with that highlight. I'm not too happy with it. Okay, so it's all the work I just did. So it's starting to hide the crimes of the imperfection of the box and the ball. It's not as like noticeable. It's not in your face. And then we'll probably go back in here and work on the highlight, kind of balance it out a little bit more. So because I don't fully like that texture, I want to smooth that out a tiny bit more. So we'll probably get into that. But let's start. I think I'm gonna separate the can from the background. So I'm gonna group these. So Control G. There we go. Words. The texture and highlight, the lighting is terrific. I like it, but I just think it's when I'm looking at the whole thing, my eyes aren't going straight to the can itself. I think it's just a little more distracting. So that's why I just want to balance it out a little bit more. Just because if we look at like my eyes kind of drawn towards this area right here too quickly, and I want to balance that out. I want your eyes to go towards the can a tiny bit more. So that's my whole goal. And that's why I want to just balance it out just a tiny bit more. But because we did in the raw edits, I punched the highlights. That highlights punched even more too. So that was just dealing with that issue. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the pen tool, and I'm gonna start cutting this all out, which is my favorite and least favorite thing of all time, because it can go relatively smooth or drag on, but it's very important. I tell my students that all the time and they hate me for it. Use the pen tool. Take 2 hours and use the pen tool, and they just hate it. I'm actually, how do I do that again? Preferences. I'm going to change the color of the pen tool line. It is preferences, tools. Is it workspace? There we go. Make that. I'm going to make it green because we're going to be using the Pepsi can next, and the cyan's going to be, the magenta is kind of hiding in the red, the cyan's going to be hiding in the green, or the blue, so green will probably stick out a little bit more. I always like to choose a vibrant pen line, and it did not do it. It did not do it. Let's do that again. Cursor. Oh, wait, that's... How did I do this again? There we go. Smart guides. Green. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I swear. I swear. Maybe I'm just going to go for it. Oh, there we go. Path. Duh. Smart guide. I'm going to stick back to magenta. Keep that there. There we go. Now it's green. Ah. Okay, so let's go for it. Start cutting out. So this is why I like vibrant colors. You can easily see the line. If it's like somewhat of the same color, it starts mixing with the background too much, and you can't really see the edge of what you're working on. A lot of people keep that as a default, and I used to for a long time, and to the point where I was like, I think I was working on my cyan magenta skull. You can see that on my website, and I just kept losing the pen tool lines. So figured out how to change the color of the line. Obviously, I just forgot for a second there, but I got to it, and really changed the game for me of how I think about Photoshop and how to customize it a lot more. Yeah, I want to have that straight, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to go straight line. And again, we're going to come back here and just smooth this out. But first, I want to make sure our outside lines are perfect before doing that. I want to separate it from the original background so we can customize as much as we want. So this is an area that's relatively hard to see because everything's the same color. And you get this problem with like when you're working on you're editing a white image on a white background, you'll constantly lose the edge. You'll constantly like be guessing like, is that the background or is that the product? And sometimes you just have to guess. It's easier when you shot it, so you can understand like what was going on set. So this one I understood, like I built all these things, so I understand where that edge is. But if I gave this to an editor or retoucher who wasn't on set, didn't handle the products, they would probably lose a lot of information. So this is area that I'm not too worried about because we're separating it. So we're not gonna even look at those little dots. All right, and we are pretty much at the end of it. Boom. Cool. All right, so we're gonna mask that off. So I usually I don't like to have a zero edge. That's not how naturally how things are in the real life. If we do a zero edge, there's not going to be this sort of like this blurriness on the edge. It's going to be too sharp. So I always like to do a 0.3. Yeah, 0.3 or is it 0.03? Now I'm second guessing myself as I'm streaming it. Let's do 0.03. Barely anything. Yeah, it's 0.03. And I'm gonna mask this off so background goes away. And I'm going to duplicate this layer. And I'm going to disable this layer mask, bring back that background, but it's still separated. So now I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm actually going to turn off our original can. And I just want to bring in some of the edge, so that way we know that the edge is not going to be spillover if we need to correct any of the edges in the top layer. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. Use a little bit bigger brush. We're just going to brush in. Let's go to flow of 100. Be aggressive with it. Just bring in that edge. We don't need to get rid of the can entirely. We're just hiding it. Let's go. Not so much. There we go. Not liking that. Smaller. Having issue with the gradient in the background. Try to blend that in a little bit more later. And again, most of this is going to be hidden. Do not want to affect our shadow because I plan on, actually we'll probably keep it this way. I'm going to fix this right here, but I'm going to fix it up on top. Just going to blend, whoops. Let's use healing brush tool. Just going to blend that area in. Come on. Work with me here. Okay, got a little imperfection there. Let's go right there too. Okay, so actually I'm not gonna take, just thinking right now, because I wanted to get rid of some of this stuff too. So let's actually just go with normal size brush and paint. I'm just gonna feather this in. I have a flow of 5% right now, so just kind of feathering in this color because I want to get rid of the texture in the foreground a little bit. Just cleans it up a little bit more, and then right here I'm going to blend in that area on the right hand side, just kind of getting rid of the paper that I was using. I'm going to keep some of it in the background. I just mostly like where it's obvious that you can see texture, just kind of blend it in. So you get this illusion that you can't really place it on a seamless backdrop. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Quick little edits. Okay, so now I think I want to bring the highlight in the background up a little bit more. So I'm going to make a new layer, soft light, and I'm going to select white. Go to my gradiencies. I'm going to select the radial. Is that what it's called? Yeah, radial gradient, and I'm just going to select the one color to transparent instead of two color. All right, so I have white selected. I have soft light selected, and I'm going to go from right in the middle and bring it out. Oh, yeah, that's right. Can I bring that down? Well, that works. Okay, cool. So that really makes it punch. And that's one thing I was missing in the original one. If we go back to this one, I'll actually open this one up. So if we look at both of these, the Pepsi one, the Pepsi background actually had a lot more brightness. So that was one thing I wanted to balance out too, was I want to have the same amount of brightness of the Pepsi and the Coke can. So this really helps out. I think I actually might, let's give that a hard light and dial it down, because I want to make that punch. So let's go just a little bit further down. Let's check that out. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah, okay. So now that we have our background kind of situated, let's focus on bringing in the water droplets. So I already have this masked off. I'm actually going to bring up this layer mask. Replace that layer mask. So it should be cut out the same way as our can. But I also want to cut it out from the little block. So I'm going to use my pencil and cut it out. Zoom in there. And I do not like this reflection, so I think I'm going to cut it out from right here. So I'm going to make a selection. 0.3. It was 0.3. And then I'm going to paint black. So I have my layer mask selected over here. I'm going to paint in black so that way we don't see it anymore. Let's be a lot more aggressive with that flow. There we go. Okay, so that line does not line up perfectly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint in black. Small brush. Just kind of blend in that line. It's just missing its alignment of the can, the print and can. All right, and then I did miss that, so I'm going to paint in. Nope, I do not want to paint in white. We're going to go back. Select black. There we go. And just stop shy of that right there. Perfect. Okay. So now our can has water drops. And it is looking a little wonky. So I'm going to try to correct that. I'm going to do probably just a little bit of rotation. See if that will work. No. Rotate, not distort. Boom. I think I went too far. It looks good on top. I think what needs to happen is I need to distort it a little bit, and I think it needs to come to on the bottom. It needs to go out a little bit more. So boom. A little better. It's never going to be perfect. I mean, because the cans print, they're always going to be a little bit different. So it's never going to be perfect. But for this application, it's looking pretty good. And now because the can is separated from the blocks down here, I can now go down to, what was it? This one right here. So because we have this as a smart object, I can go up to my filters, and then I think I'm going to go Dust and scratch. And I'm going to try to, oh, and I had those, I have it selected. So actually I'm going to merge these. Then convert to smart object. And then I'm going to try dust and scratch. See if I'm going to be a little aggressive with it. See what I can come out with. Yeah. I think the answer might be to lower those highlights. So I'm going to make a levels adjustment layer. I'm going to clip it to the grouping. Well, actually I need to bring it up above the grouping. Yeah. And then clip it to the grouping. And I'm going to double click on the layer adjustment, bring out the layer style, and then try to not affect the shadows as much. So I'm only trying to affect the highlights. It's just brings it down a slight tad. And because it's a smart object, I can now put a filter on this, a layer mask on this filter. So I'm just going to paint in black, so it's not going to affect it. Okay. Okay, I don't hate it. I think what will help if I just add a little highlight, just a little bit extra light on the right side of the can. So the can's up here. I'm gonna make a new layer, clip it to the can with the drops. Make that a soft light. Bring the flow down to like 5. Probably still even a little bit too aggressive. I'm just gonna pop in some highlights. I think let's bring down the red. I like the white, so I just wanted to pop the cola part. So I'm balancing out the shadows. I'm starting to bring down the shadows, but keep the highlights brighter. Just making it pop a tiny bit more. And I think I'm going to do the same thing up on top. This little rim right here. Might be a little more aggressive with this. And I think that highlight started turning the red still a tiny bit too magenta. So I'm going to go Hue and Saturation, and I'm going to clip it, and I'm going to go for magentas. Yeah, see how that affected that? So I'm just going to make that a lot more red. I think that was affecting quite a bit. So I just really want to keep this all essentially monotone. I want just red everywhere. And that's what Coke really likes. They use a lot of red in their advertisement. Okay, cool. So now I just want to clean up a tiny bit more. So like I said, I like to do one pass where I do some corrections. So I'm going in there and cleaning up. And then I like to do a second pass at the very end because it kind of brings it all the shots together. So if you do it early, you're getting rid of a lot of the problems, and then you do it later, it's somewhat blending the composite together. If that makes sense. I don't know what I'm just blabbering on here. Okay, make a new layer. This is gonna be our final pass of corrections. So now I'm gonna go in there. Oh, that's on my monitor. clean your monitor, kids. I always do that. Like I have a spot on my monitor that I haven't cleaned in like a week, and every time I do an edit, I always go in there and then try to correct that dot, and it's not actually there because it's on the monitor. I'm an idiot. Okay. Doing a pass. Okay, so I don't like this edge, so I'm actually going to let's see what's going on here. Is this on this? Yes. Okay. So because the can's not perfect, we're gonna have a little bit of some weirdness going on here. So I'm gonna try to fix this right here, and I'm just gonna use the pen tool to shape it. And I might actually blur just a tad. Okay, that looks okay. Make the selection. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. Oh, you're not there. That's what's going on. I need to take away, not add. So take away this area. Okay, so I'm going to go through this. Take away from this one. That's what needs to happen. There we go. And this one. There we go. Okay. Sorry, something weird was happening with that layer. In fact, I think I might. So I'm gonna select, just look at my layer mask, and I'm gonna apply a Gaussian blur of, because I forgot I did a 0.03, should have been 0.3. Come on. There we go. Okay, and that should just blend it a tiny bit more. That's nice. I'm not too happy with this edge right here, so I'm gonna actually bring this edge out because I think we're missing some of the drops. It's too flat. So we want to show some areas of the drops to make it a little more believable. Yeah, we'll get rid of that one. Boom. I swear my neighbor has like 4 trucks. And he swaps them out every single day. Like he drives all 4 of them every single day. Like he'll come from work and change cars. It's the fucking weirdest thing. Anyways. Almost through it. I'm getting rid of some of the excess stuff that's not really necessary. And if this was like a real ad, and this is not, I would actually go in here and clean up all of this misprint from the factory. But you know, I'm not getting Coca-Cola money. I'm not getting Pepsi money. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Unless you guys want me to. I'm not, it's not that important. It is what it is. But you can go completely anal when it comes to retouching products. And we'll get rid of some of this stuff. Come back down here. Okay, so it looks like... No. I want it to be the other way. Boom, boom. Paint in white. Get that edge. Boom. Cool. Okay, so we have a little bit more detail on the edge we brought in, and I think now we got to do it the other side. Yay. But, you know, you pick out what details are important, what really stand out. Like, if I was doing an ad for a smaller business, this edge on the side, no one's ever going to see. But if you're going to do it for a company that has the potential of doing larger prints, a larger advertisement, people are going to see that. And so you gotta have to pick your battles of like what's important. So, I mean, these dots are really, really nice actually. So I'm going to do this line. It's just mindless work. Get rid of that. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more. Pen tool. Over time, my eyes just become mush after like long editing session with a pen tool. It's just like looking at lines very closely and ooh, but it's important. It's important. Some nice detail around this O. I think it's an O. He just swapped out another truck. I swear to God. The weirdest neighbor. And I know he only works down the street too. It's not like he's like needing it for jobs too. I know what he does. He just swaps out 4 trucks, whatever, every single day. Super weird. Okay, we're almost there. And these nice little details. These nice little water nuggets. And a little trick if you're trying to do like these water drops. I do a spray of a mixture of 75% to 50% glycerin to water, and then like a little spray bottle. I've got a bunch of different spray bottles, and they like little squirt ones, and then actual like spray bottles to give different effects of the water droplets. Fun to experiment. I highly suggest everybody, if you're into photography or product photography or anything like that, messing around with glycerin to give these water effects, because this will stay on the product for a long period of time, so it's not always like dripping away. Like when I zoom out again, you can see that none of them are running. They're all stuck onto it, and that's because of the glycerin's like helping it bond to the surface. One of these days I'll do a little video of all the effects you can do for photography. But right now, just gonna focus on editing. And I think I'm gonna cut through that. Okay, so like if we look at this, if you just put water on a can, it's gonna start running down. You're gonna have these little like water trails, and we don't necessarily want that. We want that to stick. We want to stay on set. So like ice and stuff, they're never real, because hot lights, it's just gonna melt the ice. It's best to use like acrylic or a silicone. And for the water droplets, I always use a glycerin spray. Okay, so now we're going to add this back in. All right, now, so we have that really nice edge now. Let's see, I'm having an issue. What's with that? Okay, so I'm having an issue here. Let's see what I can do about that. There we go. Okay. Just mask that off. Was having an issue with the edge alignment. Just fix that. It's little details. Okay, so I'm looking pretty good. We fixed our highlight right here on this side. That's popping a lot more. That's what I wanted. We dealt with the highlight right here. I think what's left is I'm gonna mask this off and deal with that edge. I'm not too happy with it. So I'm just going to mask off the ball. There's just too much stuff left on it from the 3D print. So just gonna go in there, clone stamp. Nah. But yeah, clone stamp should work. Why are you doing that? Oh. Select the right layer. Oh, that happens all the time. And then we're just gonna clean that up, because and hide the crimes. No one will ever know. Only you guys will know that where all the bad stuff is. That's one thing about editing. It's like you always are going to spot the problem areas, because you saw the problem areas. You can identify the problem areas. But if you saw this without seeing any of the edits, then you'd be like, that looks pretty clean. All right, so I want to do crop of 5/7. I just want to crop it in a little bit more. Bring that down. Bring it in. Make sure that that Coke can is right in the middle. I really, for shots like this, I like to have the product on the middle of the product on the upper thirds if it is on a base. So I'm gonna bring this. Oops. Recrop it. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. I want to have that logo right in that line right here. And you can see we kind of cut too far down, which is fine. I'm just going to clone stamp it out. There's a couple of different ways you can do that, but it's usually sometimes the easiest thing. Not this time. Streaming. Never makes you look correct about anything. Streaming is always like, hey, do it this way, and it never works. Okay. Anyways, so this looks pretty good. I think I might just do a couple corrections right here. Just want to make this a little bit more consistent. Okay, so if we look at where we started, I'm actually going to group this all together. And you can see our differences. So in relatively short amount of time, it's come a long way. Now, if this was actually for Coke, I'd probably be spending the entire day cleaning it all up. But this is miles from where we started. One thing I want to fix now that I did that. It's the shadow right here. I'm gonna blend the shadow in a tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit more. Let's actually go from the dark area. Let's try to see if this spot healing brush will just blend it. Nope, it's gonna clip the hell out of it. So I'm just gonna blend it with an actual clone stamp. Low flow from both sides. Just gonna straighten out the line. from a distance is still distracting. So increase the flow and blend this line in. I think it's mostly this line right here that's really bugging me. Is that the reason why it wasn't working? Okay. There we go. There we go. That's blending now. Okay. If we look at where we're at now, yeah, it's a lot more. So I'm going to save this. Make sure I have no NDA stuff showing. Do not want my clients to be mad. Come on. Okay, just save that. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to so we're gonna finish it up with the Pepsi one. So we're gonna replicate this shot. So I want to have the Pepsi one too. So we got to work on that now. So essentially do the exact same thing. Slight tad difference because if you go back here, the background is a cyan, not the Pepsi. So it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to have to change the color. But give me about 2 minutes. I'm going to go let my eyes rest. It's always good to rest your eyes in between shots or edits because your eyes will, color-wise, will need some adjustment. I was just looking at red for about, I don't know, an hour or so. So I need to adjust my eyes so that way I can color correct properly. So I'll be back in like 2-3 minutes. And I'm back. Got some hydration. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we just covered over the Coke one, so now let's work on the Pepsi can. Again, I've got my color checker shot. That's gonna help out with the white balance, especially on these very vibrant sets. Color spillage is a huge issue. So you always want to do a color checker or a color card. I prefer the color checker, the X-Rite Color Passport. Phenomenal. Okay, so I already have mine selected, so I'm just going to bring those all in. Oops, we're just going to bring them into raw. And I got my little cheat sheet over here, so we're going to follow those edits from the Coke because they're shot the same way on the same set, just different background. They're placed exactly the same. So the raws should be pretty identical. The only thing I know from previously editing the Pepsi is that the cyan spillage, the color itself, casted onto the Pepsi can a lot more than the red. So the white balance is slightly different. So I'm gonna use the white balance tool, and I'm gonna select the gray. Okay, I think I already balanced this. I think I balanced this out in Capture One when I was shooting it. So just trying to make sure it was perfectly good. Sync those settings. Actually, I'm gonna sync it to the middle one. Okay, so we have. So this one's way off. Before I get started, I'm going to look here again. And I'm gonna make sure I'm selecting the one. Push down on that over there. That is closest to the can. Okay, so yeah, there was just a shift more than the Coke when I swapped out the cans for the water drops. Just fine. We'll work with it. In fact, I think I'm just going to cut out the box and the circle and work with, and then cut this can out and work with this can as opposed to cutting out this can along with the box and the circle. Is that showing up over? That's weird. 1 second. OBS is not liking the cyan. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna open those back up. Wrong screen. There we go. OBS is definitely not liking that cyan. If you guys are seeing like some weird funky colors right here, I am not sure what's going on. Do I have something? Do I have a filter on here? Oh, I do. Why do I have a filter on here? Remove that. There we go. For some reason on OBS, I had a filter. No idea why. That's why I look like garbage. Okay, so let's get through this. Okay, so I'm going to use my cheat sheet from the original one. So we're going to go 30 plus 0.30 for the our exposure. Our highlights are going to be 100. And that's going to blast it, but we're going to dial that back down with negative 68 for our highlight, or the whites. Shadows, 8. Our black point, negative 26. Texture and clarity is going to be 10. Yeah. And I'm going to select both of these, sync them up, and make sure they're balanced pretty well. So one thing I noticed that this shot, for some reason, got a little bit dimmer. So, and we're going to be working with this can and not the background. We're going to cut it from the background. We're going to cut it from the actual square. So we're going to pull it from over here. So I want to brighten this can just a tiny bit more. So I'm going to look at the actual can itself, try to match it a little bit more to this one. I don't know what happened with the swap out, but something got changed. I might have bumped the light. Okay, that's pretty much there. I can balance. I'm looking at this highlight right here, on the left hand side, and I can balance that out in Photoshop. So that is what I'm gonna do. That is my plan. So I'm gonna open these back up into Photoshop. Open objects. And we're going to use that Coke can. It's still open for reference to make sure both shots are equally the same. So I'm going to actually copy it into the Coke can once I'm done and flip it and then line it all up and crop it to the exact same shape. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Okay, so this can's going to be cut out. This is going to be our hero, our main shot, our main plate. So we're going to build up from this one. First off, this background, it's not blue. So let's make this blue. I think that's the first thing I want to do. So I'm going to use Hue and Saturation. I'm going to go up to Master and then bring that to Cyan. And I'm going to adjust it. And I think I think it's a little bit too purple. Let's bring it back down. And I'm not too worried about affecting the can right now. Oops. Did not want to do that. I want to slide it. Okay. It's still not punching blue. And then I don't want to clip it. So what I might do, I think, let's try adding contrast. Or do we make a copy? There's a couple of different ways we can alter the color. I'm kind of mapping out each scenario, see what works best. So I'm gonna rasterize the copy. I'm gonna go to adjustments and I'm gonna replace color. So I'm gonna try to select the most cyan color and affect it that way. Oops. Result. E. Yeah, it's not working out real well. Let's bring the fuzziness down. Nah. Replace color can work sometimes, but I think we're getting a better result from over here. We just have to use a little bit more something. Make sure I select the cyans. Let's look at the original. I think it really was punchy blues. Okay, so this is the one I did. I think where. Okay, so I think I had a little bit more contrast. Okay. Again, not worried about the scan. I'm looking at everything else right now. But I'm trying to dial in those blues. And I'm trying to not clip it. So let's go to, let's bring it down. I think that is going to work out. I mean, overall, we're kind of distracted with the grossness of the can, but I'm not too. This again, this is the background. This is changing the cyan, not the focusing on the blue, because we're gonna bring in this can. So I think let's just bring up. Just feel like there's still a little bit grossness here, and I'm wondering if it's just to do with the block. So I'm gonna go back to the cyans and feel like we're clipping some colors here. Not too stoked on that. Okay. There we go. I think that's somewhere where I want it. Okay, so I'm gonna start cleaning up all this stuff. It's gonna kind of blend it together a lot more. I want to get rid of the 3D printer lines and the wood fill I had to use to clean up some of the imperfections. And I'm going to get rid of the highlight. Just going to clean this all up. Select from an area that does not have lines. The next time I do these 3D printed shapes, I definitely need to spend a little bit more time sanding them down. I was kind of in a rush on this one where I was just wanted to get it over with. I was having a bunch of print failures beforehand and got that all figured out, and then I rushed this job. Figured out all the issues though, so gonna have some pretty cool future projects. Gonna do some more more of the skulls that I previously have done. And if you're new to my work, go check out jsuttonphoto.com, and you can see what I was talking about the skulls. Okay, so I think I'm gonna bring down that highlight, but first I'm still just like really working these lines. I should have wood filled all of the surface and just kind of got rid of them. Saves time editing. It saves, get it in the shot, you spend less time cleaning it up. It's one of the issues with being the photographer and the editor. It's like I'm to blame for everything. Like I can't just blame like, oh, why did the photographer do this? Why, like, and complain about how much work I have. I did it to myself, so I've got no one to complain to. It just the reality of it is like, at the time, is it easier to do in the like on set, or is it easier to do in Photoshop? This case probably. I don't know. But, you know, what's great about being the editor of my own photos is I know the imperfections. So next time I go into a shoot and I have the same scenario, I'm like, I'm going to do a plate. Like for this, I should have done a plate with it bare with no highlight. Now I know. Now I know I don't want that. But if I was just a photographer who didn't edit his own work or their own work, on set, I'd be lazy and not think about like the challenges in Photoshop. I think all photographers should at least work on editing some of their own work. But a lot of us have like a busy shoot schedule, so it's a bit better. And let's try to knock that highlight a little bit more. And I'm going to mask that off and just paint in this area. Just the highlighted area, but try to bring it down. And then I'm just going to have it select the highlight. There we go. Boom. Bring it down just a slight tad. I want just a little bit of highlight, not so aggressive. Yeah, I knocked it down. So I'm gonna actually turn off that layer. I think I just want to work it a tiny bit more. Just want to blend in that texture. It's a little bit too aggressive right there. Bring down my flow. I'm never gonna fully get rid of the lines. I'm just trying to knock down a good majority of them, so it's just not so distracting. And I want to blend this in now. Do I want to? How bad was that? Okay, it's not too bad. Let's clean up the lines itself. Just watch out for the shadow. I don't want to affect the shadow too much. When it comes to like the shadows and like detail around it, like the shadows can get really funky if you're not careful. Okay, I'm okay with that. Okay, I think we're ready to bring in the other can. So I'm gonna go back over here, select all, copy merge, bring it on over, and let's line it up because this one got screwed up. We gotta dial it in. Okay, so it is a little offset. So let's try to change that. I'm not looking at the graphics. Like the graphics are a good way to line it up, but for this one, I'm actually just looking at the lines on the outside because we're going to keep the original or the second can, not the first one. So I'm just trying to line it up on the outside. All the detail on the inside of the can, we're gonna keep. Looks looking pretty good. Okay, so if we remember from the Coke can, I actually cut out all the droplets. I'm going to focus on that for the original cutout as opposed to doing the straight line. I was messy the first time and I realized I wanted to keep that. So this time I'm going to look at the details a little bit more and not skimp over them. So that's looking good. I'm going to go back to 100% on the can. So now let's focus on cutting this out so that way we can see the background. And I'm going to have to do a color correction to the cyan area, or you know what? I'm going to steal it from this one because of the same problem as the Coke can. It has that reflection of the black paint or the brown paint. Okay, so let's get to pen tool. And I know I changed it to green. I said we're going to keep it green. I'm going to change my pen tool to magenta. Okay, where is it? Guides, here we go. And paths, I'm going to go to magenta. Push up key. All right. So I want to keep all this lovely detail. So we're going to cut it all out. We're going to spend our time. with the pen tool. And this is just like the dull, boring moments that you guys have been waiting for. I mean, who am I to judge? I mean, there's people that love ASMR. I don't get it. If you're into it. Every time I say that, I think of Flight of the Conchords. My neighbor just swapped his truck out again. That's the third time. That's the third vehicle during the stream that my neighbor swapped his vehicles out. I swear, it's every day. This is like every day he swaps his vehicles out. I don't get it. I guess he just likes racking up miles on his cars. I don't know. Just a lot of lines, a lot of drops I gotta do. It's boring work, but it pays off so much. These little ones I usually just kind of get rid of. They're not important. You're not going to see them from afar. It's the bigger drops I really focus on. And because these are transparent, we're going to have to deal with the edge in this being cyan. So we're going to apply the color selection or the hue saturation adjustment layer. We're going to apply it to the can and just around the edges. So I'm not too worried about that. We're pretty much going to blend it in the exact same way the background is. So we shouldn't have enough this area be cyan, like the reflection or translucence of the drops. Mindless work. Almost done with this half. Still have the other half to do. But once we're done, I swear, it's gonna go a lot faster. Okay, so now I'm not going to worry about this bottom part. We're just going to cut across here. Actually, I think I'm going to cut across. We'll blend this because I want to keep that drop. We're going to go across the label. So we're going to keep that edge. And then I'm going to keep this. Boom. Let's keep that. And I think the original one, I just made that gray. I think I just went in there and cut out any sort of reds. But this time we're actually going to steal it from the other can. Man, I need more coffee. I'm trying to stay away from caffeine, and it is kicking my butt. Okay, this side I think has a little bit less drop, so I don't think it's going to take as long. I could be wrong. could definitely be wrong. Little by little. Okay. Little by little. Yeah, this is the painful part. This is the point where I'm like, I'm over it. And I start trying to go too quickly. And it just makes the lines a lot worse. So your beginning has a lot more detail because you've taken more time, but as you've gotten through it, you get bored and it's like your mind wants to do anything else. But if I do that, then it's gonna be complete trash at the end. So you're gonna have like a lot of detail at the very beginning. At the end, it's just gonna be obviously like different quality. So to keep it consistent, you just gotta just stick it out. Normally, if I wasn't streaming, I'd probably just take a tiny little break. But I'm not gonna waste your guys' time. That seems rude. But you know, when I'm editing a whole bunch, I take quite a few breaks. Not necessarily, because I'm tired or I don't want to be doing the work. It's more the sense of just to keep my eyes fresh, just to keep my brain active and fresh too, because when you start doing this for hours and hours and hours, especially the pen tool, your brain kind of wants to be distracted very easily, and you have to pretty much pay attention to what's going on here. Otherwise, the cutout is going to be not great. It's going to be choppy. It's going to not be smooth. And if I could, I'd be doing a time lapse for you guys right now, but you know, streaming. You guys are seeing it live. Okay, we're getting to the end. We are almost there. We are almost there. My hand is like usually like these sorts of pen tool cutouts, there's just a lot of detail. And my hand is barely moving it, but it's very like doing small little movements, and you know, that just adds up. It's just like hand starts to get a little strained, and but you're at the end. I see the end. But again, we can't rush the end. Each one of these water droplets is important. So we got to spend as much time on each one as we do for all of them. Just takes patience. And it will pay off at the end. See it. I see it. It's right there. We're there. Just a couple more humps. A little more drops. And we have it. See, I just got a little sloppy there. Got a little sloppy. And... oh. Yes. We made it. We did it. Let's apply this mask. We earned it. I'm gonna invert my mask to paint in black because I already have a layer mask as white. So I'm just gonna paint in black, make sure I have pure black set. Oh, that feels good. That feels good. You know, accomplishments. We did it. I gotta look at something else. My eyes right now. If you sat through that all, jeez. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Now I'm going to toggle this layer on and off, and we can see how much adding that contrast and blue to the background really changes it. It just really screams Pepsi ad. It really screams it. I think it's still just a little bit too purple. I think we need to dial the color back to blue. But we're almost there. That's just small little things. But my eyes. Okay. I need to start wearing these Not going to right now. Not going to. I didn't start the stream with them. I'm not going to end with them. Okay, so I'm going to copy the curves and the hue saturation. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. So if you hit Alt and drag the layer adjustments, it will duplicate. But I want to clip them to the can. And now I'm going to affect what I want to affect. The cyan. And I'm going to bring this little slider. I don't want it to affect the blues. I just want it to affect the cyan. So as I bring this down, you can start seeing it's not affecting as much. I think I might leave it just a tiny bit because it is getting that shadow and it is punching the blues, the Pepsi can. And Pepsi is like, they really punch their colors too. Same with Coke. They punch their reds a lot. Okay, so I think we don't need the contrast as much. In fact, I think I might punch the highlights. Maybe right there. I think I'm looking at the left-hand side. I'm trying to affect the left-hand side a little bit more. And I think I'm going to mask off the right side. Because I do want to have that rich blues. I want to have that darker. Maybe I'll actually add in another curve and darken that edge. So I'm going to paint in white right now. Whoops. Something happened. So I'm going to paint in the edge. I just want to have that gradient. Boom. That's nice. That's nice. And so I'm going to group this all together. No, I'm not. I lied. I'm just going to toggle this all on. Okay, so if we look at the original, the highlights definitely have a cast of cyan. So what do? We color corrected it a little bit more, and we allowed the blues to be punchy. Brought in the highlight, darken the edges, just gives it more contrast. So I think we're pretty much good. I think I just want to dial in the background just a tiny bit more. So I'm going to go back to down to the hue and saturation, go back to the cyan, and I think I'm going to bring it down just a slight tad. It was just a tad too magenta, and we are having an issue. You know what? I'm going to go back. Oops, let's redo. I'm going to go back because I realized I did selection in this hue and saturation color. So I'm going to go make a new hue and saturation, select the blues. This is only going to affect what's below, so the background. And I'm going to, so blue selected, and I'm just going to bring that down. Let's see. Go down. Damn. Oh, why is the magenta selected? It's not what I'm looking for. There we go. So I think I'm just going to go down like, what? Like, I want to be like right in the middle. Just a little bit. Let's go two. To it. Splitting hairs here. Splitting hairs. And maybe just a little bit more contrast. There we go. Maybe even just a tiny bit more. Ooh, that's screaming it. That's screaming it. Okay. We're there. Okay, so now let's work on, again, I want to get rid of this foreground. So let's just group this all together. We're not going to touch it anymore. We're going to work on fixing the different mistakes. Like we've got some dust. I see we got a little bit of dust on my sensor. We're going to get rid of that stuff right now. I don't like that. We're going to get rid of the Super Bowl ad because then that's placing a time on it. Don't want to do that. Get rid of the NFL logo. Goodbye. Get rid of all this text. And I'm probably going to have to bring in some drops back into these areas. So I'm going to use the healing brush tool. And I'm going to select the area just above it. And then we're just going to apply that and add some drops in there to fill in these blank areas. And I see this area right here. I think there was a little smudge or misprint. There's a couple scratches like right here that is showing up. Let's get rid of that. Let's clean up this edge. There we go. There's a scratch up here. Let's try to blend that in. Smudge. Boom. Smudge. And I want to bring in some more drops. Let's bring in some more drops right here. 1, 2. I don't like that drop. Let's bring this one up right there. Okay. Okay. It's looking a little weird right here. I'm just gonna try to blend this all in. I'm using the healing brush tool, not the spot healing brush, just the normal one. I think it does a better job with blending. A little dust. Let's blend this area. Let's go with a bigger brush. Select the bigger area. It's just like there's some like highlights and shadows within the paint. Just trying to fix it. Maybe it will never be fixed. Yeah, it's not bugging me. It's not bugging me as much. But what's bugging me now is this little shadow up here. Try to lighten this out. No, it's not the tool. It's not the tool. There we go. And let's try to clean up this line. We're rocking it and rolling. It's a little too hot up here. Some weird things going on right here. So I'm just gonna blend it all together with the clone stamp. Not liking it. We'll just blend it all. That's it. Just blend it all. No one will ever know what this texture is. It's fine. And I think there's a little bit of repeat right here. There we go. if you're not paying attention to all the little details, you don't spot the randomness of it. Yeah, it's fine. It's balanced. Okay. Let's move on. I can just drive myself insane with that. So, just not even going to focus on it. So I'm going to work on the foreground, which I want to make this like completely a solid. So I'm going to use the spot healing brush tool and try to blend this in. See if that will help. Nope. I'm just going to use the brush tool then. I'm going to be on a separate layer. And I'm going to be selecting different areas to kind of blend that all in. A lot of blending right now. A lot of blending. And I don't want to affect that area, so let's go smaller brush. But I don't want to show like the paper texture as much. I want to kind of blur it in the beginning of the foreground. So I'm going to use a smaller flow. It's like the paper got, for some reason, is a little bit reflective. Not sure why. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's focus on, okay, so because I have this whole area, even though I used a normal brush, I'm gonna bring in some texture back with some adding noise. And that's just gonna make it look more like a tangible, like it was actually shot with a camera. So I'm trying to match the grain from the original image, or the actual camera itself in the background. I think that's pretty good. Cool. I see a couple of different spots that I need to address. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's always something. It's always something. Okay. It's looking good. I think starting to see some stuff right back there. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to use clone stamp tool. And I'm going to try to get rid of this edge from the background layer. This is trying to get rid of the can from behind. There we go. I don't want to go too far because we're still using that bottom half, or the bottom of the can. Just blend it in. Boom, boom, boom. Whoops. Do the same to this side. And I'm gonna just mask that off, and I missed this little edge. Boom, boom, boom. Solid. Okay, so one thing I noticed is that this is a very common problem when it comes to gradients, is when you're making a background, especially when it's this goes from a highlight in the middle outwards, you start seeing this banding. You can see it right here. There's like banding going on, and this happens a lot with gradients in Photoshop, if it's fake or even real. And I've never found a great understanding of why this happens. And it's really annoying. You'd think that they would address it, because gradients are used a whole bunch in backgrounds, especially in photos. So I'm gonna do this. So I'm going to turn off all of this right here. I'm gonna group this all together. This is our main can. And yeah, okay, so I'm gonna start from here. I'm going to select all, copy merge. We're going to go below our group right here. I'm going to paste that. That's our new background. And I now am going to add noise to the background. And then adding noise to the background will help out the banding. So I'm going to turn these layers back on. Those go away. Actually, I'm going to add some noise to this one. I'm going to smart object this, convert to smart object. I'm going to add noise just in case because I do have some selections on the actual can. I may not want to add that noise. May be a little distracting, so I'm going to add that. It's going to match to the background. And let's see, I'm going to turn it on and off. So the selection areas, the added noise is not affecting what I'm looking at. Oh, it is affecting right here. So smart object, I can mask that off. Let's go with 100%. Is that another? Wait. Where are you? What the heck? Are you above? Wait, are you actually? Oh, it's up here. Why is that there? I'm just gonna erase that. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's a little flip right here that I have no idea what. Oh, wait. The eraser tool selected. There we go. There we go. Okay. Something's bugging me here. Don't like the repetitiveness of what was going on, so let's try to break that up. Break it up. Okay. Don't like what's going on there. I might actually fade this in, so I think there's just too much going on. I think it's fading into the actual object. So just try to blend that in, and I say blend a lot. There's a lot of blending in Photoshop. Okay, so I think we're there. I think we're good. So now I'm gonna save this really quick. Okay, cool, perfect. Let's save that. What is? I think OBS decided to freeze. OBS, you okay? I think it's my graphics card. Okay, so now we're gonna go back and so we wanted to replicate this shot right here without the brown paint. So what I want to do is now we're gonna go back to our Coke. I'm going to select all, copy merge, and go back to this one, and I'm going to paste that in here. Bring that to the top. There we go. I'm going to make this 50% opacity, and I'm going to transform it and flip horizontal. And I'm going to try to match up the cans. I'm not too concerned about the bottom part. I know that they're never going to be perfect. The cans were in different locations, so it is what it is. The cans are more important in this shot. So boom, crop it exactly the same, and then I'm going to make this 100%. First, I'm going to actually turn that off and then save this again because I forgot to save it with the crop. Okay, and then I'm going to turn that back on. Flip it back to the original horizontal. And now I'm going to flip the crop. Boom. In fact, I think I'm going to have this one go to the right. And I'm going to select everything. Drag this over. There we go. And I'm just trying to make everything symmetrical. I think overall, I think the Pepsi one just needs to be a little more punchier. And I think, yeah, I think it's below the can. So I think that one's the can. No, I think overall it just needs it. Just because to balance out that extreme red, we're gonna need just extreme blue. And in fact, I think I'm going to do a gradient in the layer mask with the radial and then go from the back because I do want that highlights. The middle part is great. There we go. I just want to have more around that's intense. Is this the middle? I may have to crop this because I don't think it's gonna add up equally. What do we so A2, trying to get them both in the middle. Let me write this. I gotta do some math. Okay, so our middle is going to be 4,129 pixels. Boom, right there. Okay, so that's our middle. So that means I need to bring over the Coke to the mid, and then everything else needs to come over too. I think it needs... Looks pretty balanced. Okay, so now we can turn off our guides. And there we have it. Our Coke versus Pepsi. Well, I guess it'd be Pepsi versus Coke the way it's laid out, but I don't care. I'm still calling it Coke versus Pepsi. Well, that's pretty close to the original one I did. But without the black or the brown paint. So, and one of the reasons why I decided to redo this is because I had some comments where people that were kind of put off by the brown paint. They just didn't get it, and which is fine. This is gonna be my own personal work, and this shot will actually be going up onto Shutterstock for stock images. So, it's not a total waste of my time. Anyways, yeah, this was a little fun. It's always good to revisit edits and kind of remember why I made the decisions I made, and try to redo some edits. And I might be going back to some old stuff too, some old product photography from back in the day, and just look at like what I used to do versus what I can do now. So maybe I'll do that in the next few streams where I'll address some problems that I used to do, or some common problems that I can showcase. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I am going to get some lunch. My stomach has been growling for about half an hour now, and there it is again. But you guys have a great day, and catch you on the